Welcome back to the TwinSpires Racing Roundtable. I'm Ashley Anderson, back from New Orleans. I was at Fairgrounds for the Risen Star, joined by James Scully and Vance Hanson to talk the Risen Star, the Rachel Alexandra, and other eye-catching performances from the weekend. And Vance, I'll start with you because you gave me such a great recommendation with Cafe Beignet on Royal. It lived up to the expectations. Not much of a wait, great atmosphere. So let's start with you, your thoughts on the Risen Star and Sierra Leone. He closed as the top individual betting choice and pull for the Kentucky Derby future wager. Is he a legitimate contender now? What are your thoughts?
Well, over a sloppy track that played surprisingly fair, I thought Sierra Leone's race on Saturday was very useful. First start of the year. He made his patented late close to win very comfortably in the end. And I like the fact that he finished the job this time and did not repeat his shenanigans from the Remsen, where he kind of basically stopped after making the lead. I thought this was evidence of increased maturity on his part, and also the addition of blinkers kept him focused in the Risen Star. I wasn't too enthralled with the final time, though, as I was expecting more of a step forward off of his Remsen performance and his figure. And I do really want to see more of him from that perspective in the Bluegrass Stakes, which is going to be his scheduled final Kentucky Derby prep at Keeneland. So for now, I'm kind of right now I'm viewing him as an underlay in the early Derby wagering market. I know he closed as the individual choice this past weekend in the future wager pool, but given the speed figure and all the other factors, I just think it's an underlay price at the moment, James.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a fair analysis because I do think Sierra Leone is the horse to beat. I think he's the Kentucky Derby, the clear favorite right now for the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby on May 4th. And barring a setback or a disappointing showing in the Bluegrass, I don't see any reason why he won't be. If he comes, he's going to have one more prep, Sierra Leone. It's going to be the Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland. If he wins that race, then yeah, he's probably going to be the favorite. And I came away impressed by his Risen Star performance. He finished fast over that sloppy track, wearing down a classy rival who had everything his own way on the front end. And I think that the blinkers kept him more focused. He didn't have blinkers in that Remsen race, which was a little bit of a crazy performance because he was under a rod a little bit early, had struggled to keep up. Then he went extremely wide with an incredible move and got a little bit tired, but everybody could understand that. So I thought the blinkers benefited him in the Risen Star. And while I don't think the track conditions made a difference, it's a fair point to say, hey, it'd be nice to see the Bluegrass be a fast track and see Sierra Leone reproduce or continue to move forward, because I think he has moved forward from the Remsen. I thought the Risen Star was a very encouraging performance. And you know, with a late runner like he is, trip is always a potential, problem, Ashley and Vance. But he's already shown he's just going to run around rivals. And as far as the speed rating, one final thing on it, the pace was really slow. I mean, Track Phantom was out there by a length and a half, 2 lengths, like running in like almost 115 for the opening 6 furlongs. And then Sierra Leone went at least 10 pass wide. So I think that slow pace coupled with the extreme ground loss is naturally going to lead to a lower figure. I'm not putting too much stock in it right now, but we'll see how he runs in the Bluegrass next time, Ashley.
We'll have to talk a little trash talk first because the jury, James, you did not like Sierra Leone at all. I was all about the blinkers. I got to see him work out. He looked great and ultimately got the job done. I didn't get the 4-1 morning line price that I was hoping for. He was sent off around 5-2. I will say, though, with the Risen Star, the history of the Risen Star, we've only had 3 runners come out and win the Derby, but 2 of them were elevated to first with DQs. The only one to actually cross the wire first in the Derby was War Emblem, who finished 6th in this race. So can't put a whole lot of stock in this Derby prep. And I agree. I'd like to see him on a fast track and see what he looks like there. But if we get mud the first Saturday of May, then, I think he's clearly proven that he can race on an off track. So certainly looks good there, but 6-1 in that pool 4, I don't think I want to take that price. I should have jumped on it when it was more like 10-1, but even then a little low, I think, for a few.
He was 36-1 in pool 2 last year off his maiden win, and see a lot of people on social media talking about getting that price on him. So that would be nice to be sitting on it.
Well, let's
And
move over.
congratulations as well,
Oh,
Ashley. I do want to
well, thank
say
you.
you were right on the money. So hats off to you.
Thank you. And as far as that speed figure, I know we'll talk about this a little bit later, but he got that 93, and there were a couple of runners that had a little bit higher speed figures, ones to watch out for potentially on the Derby Trail too. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, but let's move over to the Rachel Alexandra, where Tarifa won for Brad Cox. Not the Brad Cox runner I thought was going to win, but Tarifa pulled through to win 50 points toward the Kentucky Oaks. What were your takeaways, James, from the Rachel Alexandra?
Well, I came away impressed by Tarifa. I think she's a big time contender for the Kentucky Oaks this spring. And I think that the Rachel Alexandra could definitely have an impact upon that race because both Tarifa and the runner-up Intricate, I think Intricate will improve upon that comeback runner-up clear second place effort. But she was never a threat to beat Tarifa in deep stretch. Tarifa won by about 3 lengths. And what I really liked about her performance was that turn of foot that she showed in upper stretch. I mean, she was saving ground, taking mud the entire way behind the early leaders and really had nowhere to go turning for home. And she responded when Flavian Pratt angled her outside. And I loved how she was nimble enough to change course and keep accelerating powerfully to a clear lead. So, that's her stakes debut. She's now 3 for 4 for Brad Cox. I think she's got a bright future. And I won't give up on Intricate as well. Like I said, I think she's eligible to improve significantly upon that performance, Vance.
Yeah, I don't have any more things to add to that assessment. I thought both Tarifa and Intricate ran strong races, and they look like the fillies to beat going forward in the Kentucky Oaks, in my opinion. Despite Tarifa's solid victory, I still fancy Intricate's chances at turning the table sooner or later. Given the fact that she didn't have the benefit of a prep coming into this race, like Tarifa did, I thought Intricate ran very well to finish second best over a sloppy track. And I'd expect her also to take a step forward in the Fairgrounds Oaks next time. And this has the makings of a potentially decent rivalry between these two fillies if they both make it to the Churchill Downs on the first Friday in May, Ashley.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out Alpine Princess. Florent Giroux opted to stick with Alpine Princess instead of Tarifa. Tarifa had the rail post, though, and if you looked at FirstNet track bias, the rail post was winning at a 30% clip. So did that factor? Did the sloppy track hurt Alpine Princess? But either way, it seems like now Tarifa is the now filly and a Godolphin homebred. And then with Intricate, of course, you've got the connections that won the Oaks last year for Pretty Mischievous. You've got Tyler Gaffleone and Brendan Walsh. The other thing I thought was interesting, BV's Dream, the morning line favorite, ended up going off as the third betting choice at post time. And a lot of people I talked to at Fairgrounds, they still like this filly and didn't really expect a lot coming off that longer layoff, but still think maybe moving forward, we might get something from her. But this is 3 straight losses at 1 1/16 of a mile. Her last one was at a mile in the Pocahontas. Do either of you all think that we might see more from her going forward, or should she stick to a mile? James, what do you think?
Well, I'm a little bit dubious of her at longer distances than a mile, but I like your perspective where, hey, I still like her and I'm going to get a better price next time. So I'll be trying to better on her then. Vance, what do you think about BB's Stream?
Yeah, it does seem like she's kind of favorable to one-turn races from what we've seen from her so far. But knowing her connections, I'm sure they're going to take one more chance with her, and I'm guessing it would be in the Ashland at Keeneland, which is a short stretch race, mile and a 16th, and I expect to see her there and for them to try and get her into the Oaks again.
All right, well, let's talk the other performances that stood out this week, and there were a few at Fairgrounds in particular. James, who caught your eye?
Well, I'll mention a couple of races on the undercard. I'll start with race 3. It was an entry-level allowance at a mile and a 16th, and that race only got 3 horses, but 2 of them I think are very talented. Nash had everything his own way on the front end, but he could not withstand the finish from Tuscan Sky, who tracked him in second until the stretch drive basically overtook Nash in deep stretch and won going away by 2 lengths. That's 2 straight convincing wins for this Vino Rosso colt, trained by Todd Pletcher. He earned a 97 Brisnet speed rating for his second race. He's paired up 97 speed ratings in his first 2 starts. So to me, he's heading to Kentucky Derby qualifier. And if he keeps progressing, he's got a chance to run well. And then the other one I'll mention is Drip. Whit Beckman had Drip entered it earlier in the card in a 6 furlong maiden special weight. And, you know, there were reports out there that he had outworked Honor Marie, who was coming off a win in the Kentucky Jockey Club. And sure enough, Drip took a lot of money in the betting. He opened up at a real short price, wound up going off a slight favorite, and he just schooled him on the front end. He went real fast early, fast late, got ran in 109 and 3, got a 99 speed rating, and obviously he's very fast, and that was a 6 furlong maiden, but he's by Good Magic, who sired Mage last year to win the Derby, and he's out of a mare by 2011 Kentucky Derby winner Super Saver. So there's definitely a chance he could stretch out with that pedigree, Vance.
I just wanted to say real quick, I got a chance to see him in Whit Beckman's barn during the lead up to the Risen Star Day, and he just kind of towered over the other horses. I mean, he's quite the horse. So I don't know if you followed the coverage, but Blaze, our producer, he had a stable alert out there for Drip, and definitely I'm interested to see his next race because he looks so good on debut. So I don't know if he'll make it in time to the Derby, but if he comes out and wins a prep and gets enough points, be fun to see. What about you, Vance? What stood out to you?
I'm looking beyond fairgrounds from this past weekend and going to Laurel Race Course in Maryland. Rising Maryland bred star Post Time notched his 7th win in 8 career starts on Saturday, winning the General George Stakes by 3 lengths. He earned a 103 Brisnet speed rating, which was his 2nd consecutive triple-digit speed rating this year. He's only lost 1 race so far, and that was a 3rd-place finish in the Perryville Stakes at Keeneland last October. But this horse is really talented 7 furlong to 1 mile type for trainer Brittany Russell, and he's very deserving now, I think, of taking his show on the road more this spring, and I would expect him to be have a race like the Carter at Aqueduct or the Commonwealth at Keeneland. Both of those races are on April 6th. Both of those races are at 7 furlongs. I would expect Post Time to probably show up in either one of those races, and I figured he would be a major threat in either one. This is a very talented horse that's kind of flying under the radar because he's been based in Maryland and has won all of his races in Maryland. But he's deserving of a step up in class, and he beat a modest field on Saturday. He was 1-5, 3-10, something like that. But Post Time was one to watch out for, Ashley.
And I wanted to mention we had a couple other Kentucky Derby and Oaks prep this weekend. 2 of them over at Sunland Park. Stronghold won the Sunland Park Derby. And then we had the road to the Japan Derby. We had the about 1 mile Hyacinth took place in Tokyo and won by a 12-1 upsetter in Ramjet. He earned 30 points toward the Japan road to the Derby leaderboard. He's now the top runner on that leaderboard, which is significant because this year we had a record number of Japanese runners nominated to the Triple Crown, 10 more than last year. Of course, in the 2023 Derby, a lot of buzz with Dermis Odagake and Mandarin Hero. I think Dermis Odagake was 5th. Mandarin Hero didn't quite finish as well as I was hoping. And
he had the Hanson curse on him in that.
Yes. So Ramjet now is that leader. And, you know, we haven't seen him stretch out beyond this about 1 mile distance yet. But in the history of the Hyacinth, we've had 3 runners make it into the field of the Kentucky Derby. One of them was Crown Pride in the 2022 Derby, finished 13th. And then Master Fencer had that best finish of 6th in the 2019 Derby. So maybe one to watch out for here. And Ramjet has that Derby pedigree. He's by Majestic Warrior, whose sire is AP Indy, also out of a dam, who's a granddaughter of Sunday Silence and Unbridled Song. Kelly Riley did a whole article on his win and his pedigree, same with Keeler Johnson. So definitely check that out because I know here don't always get a chance to watch the Japanese runners, but pedigree is a good clue to look out for there. We also had a Godolphin homebred finish 2nd in Unquenchable. He didn't get nominated by the deadline, but he has 18 points toward that Japan road to the Kentucky Derby leaderboard. So might be one that makes the field eventually too. So you never know. I think the Japanese runners are getting a little bit closer to that Derby win.
We'll see some Japanese runners in the Saudi Derby this weekend, and then be interesting to see if Ramjet, those other Hyacinth Derby horses went to the UAE Derby. I'm not saying we won't get a horse that comes through that strictly the Japan path, but that will be an option for these Japanese horses that by a UAE Derby in late March.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for the Racing Roundtable. We'll be back next Tuesday to recap more Derby prep action, and check us out on Thursday with our TwinSpires jury for our best bets and fades.